This is the Russian dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is not America's sweetheart, Davian. And
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the bubblegum princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane. This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
Hey everyone, this is the Elite Athlete Nova, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web, the trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and CastBox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I am, of course, your host, James J. It's a great day for wrestling. We are wrestling with the Elite Athlete Nova.
Hi there.
Hi, how are you?
Great, how are you doing?
I'm good. Could you tell us what you got coming up next?
Sure. For the month of February, for those who don't know, I'm wrestling part-time, as I am a full-time police officer. So I do wrestling when I'm not working my night shifts and shift work on the weekend. So for the month of February, coming up on February 17th, which is a Thursday, I am at Demand Lucha in downtown Toronto, posing as Nova Kane, the manager for Los Medicos. And then on February 25th, which is a Saturday night, I'll be in Gatineau, Quebec, in the province of Quebec, with Gatineau Pro Wrestling. And I will be facing the champion, Persephone Vice, in a women's championship match.
Hi, and where can we find you on social media?
On social media, I have pretty much everything. I've got Twitter, I've got YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. All you have to do is search Nova Pro Wrestler.
And you don't even have to do that. All of our links to all of our social media and her merchandise will be in the description of the video below or on YouTube and CastBox.
Thank you for that.
Absolutely. Alright, let's get into it. You work for Rocksteady and Barry Wrestling. Can you tell us about your relationship with those companies?
Rock Solid Wrestling?
Yes, Solid and Barry.
Yeah, so I began my career with Rock Solid Wrestling back in 2019. They're the ones that trained me and got my feet on the ground and got me started. So from there, I just began to transition into different promotions and different provinces in Canada. And I really got to just get my feet wet, or my boots wet, I guess you should say, and really get to experience all aspects of pro wrestling.
And Barry Wrestling?
Barry Wrestling has been other than Gatineau Pro Wrestling, which is coming up, Barry Wrestling is definitely one of the most recent promotions to recruit me and have me part of their roster.
All right. Well, you wrestled Andy Starr. She's a big name on the Canadian Indies. What was that experience like?
I tell every promoter who asks me who I want to face, I always tell them Addie Starr, only because I've only had her once, and that was before the pandemic. And I had such an amazing match with her. She was such a good athlete to work that I've been wanting her again ever since. And I haven't had her yet.
That's crazy. You've only had her one time.
One time.
And I mean, it feels like that was like a world ago because it was pre-pandemic.
I was scheduled to face her with Barry Wrestling a couple months ago. However, due to injury, she could not attend, unfortunately. I was very, very excited to be able to face her again. So you can imagine how disappointed I was when I learned that she couldn't work that night. but I'm hoping to again in the future.
I believe Andy's also known for her Lego death matches.
Oh yes, she is. Maybe one day we'll have one.
Is that's what I was going to ask? Are you interested in deathmatch wrestling?
You know what? I would be open to it.
Right,
I
interesting.
wouldn't say no.
Well, is there something that well, deathmatch wrestling is very unspecific of what weapons you could use. It's usually no holds barred. But is there something like you see in the deathmatch that you were like, no, definitely not doing that?
I think maybe, the barbed wire and getting hit in the head with light bulbs and stuff like that. It's not really my cup of tea at this moment, but I did grow up in the Attitude Era. So anything outside of the ring, I'd like to give it a try. Tables, ladders, and chairs,
Hmm.
and maybe a street fight, something like that. Give me some garbage cans.
All right. Now, you also competed against Jody Dredd, another incredibly big name on the independents globally, and one of the most hard hitting of anybody out there. What was that
Yes.
experience like?
I've known Jody for a very long time. I would say I've known her the longest out of all the female talent coming out of Ontario. Jody and I, and not a lot of people know this, Jody and I went to college together
Oh, wow.
way back in 2000, I would say 2006, 2007. And we never talked in class or anything like that. We didn't really know each other. So as soon as I started training again or started training for the first time in wrestling in 2019, and we began to train together at Tyson Duke's Wrestling Factory in London, Ontario, she's like, "Hey, we went to college together," and she recognized me right away. It was really cool, and she has been working her ass off ever since. And she's traveling every weekend between Canada and the States, and I couldn't be more proud of her. She's really, really worked her way to the top.
Is Jody Dredd probably the hardest you've been hit in wrestling so far?
The hardest I've been hit?
Has Jody Dredd been the most hard hitting you've been in the ring with yet so far?
As in a strong female?
Yeah.
I would say this, yes, one of the strongest females I've ever worked would be Jody, as well as Silesia Sparks. And that's those two women actually, they bodybuild for a living. So they spend their free time training and pushing weight. So they're definitely two of the hardest hitting women for sure.
Okay. Now, excuse me. You had a tryout with WWE. What was that experience like? And was that like a window into the world that you would like to be a part of one day?
It was incredible. I went from being a little girl and watching WWF on TV to running the ropes and training a little bit and debuting in April of 2019 at the beginning of April. And then all of a sudden at the end of April 2019, literally 2-3 weeks later, I'm at the WWE Performance Center. It was surreal. I definitely was not ready for it, but I was in the same boat as a lot of applicants that were there, a lot of recruits that were there. It was such a good eye-opening experience. I was working with not only current professional wrestlers in the indies, I was also trying out with a lot of people who have never stepped foot in the ring before, and this was their very first time. For example, Jade Cargill. Me and Jade had our tryout together there.
Now, you said that it was only like 3 weeks after your debut match.
Yes.
Looking back now, what hindsight being 2020, how do you look at that experience? Now having a lot more experience under your belt?
I truly wish that when I had my tryout match, that I had the experience that I had now. When it came down to the strength and fitness and conditioning portion of it, I was in the fittest shape of my life back then, even when I wasn't an active wrestler or I was only wrestling for 2 weeks in pro matches. I was still able to keep up with everybody fitness wise. But when it came to my tryout match, I really didn't know what the heck I was doing. I had no experience then. I was just getting started in the indie wrestling world. So I really feel like now that it's 2023 and I've done tons of matches since, I'm still not perfect. I still feel like I'm very green. But now in comparison to 2019, I believe that I would do so much better.
Now, is anybody from WWE, who's talking to you from WWE and giving you advice?
While I was there?
Yeah.
Well, William Regal and
Oh, wow.
Prince Albert were the two running the tryout.
Okay.
But it wasn't really anybody giving advice during tryouts. They're just basically more so taking notes and scoring each recruit that was trying out. But it was all the NXT superstars that were working.
Okay.
So they would be assigned. There was a couple of wrestling rings inside the performance center, so they would be assigned a couple of them per wrestling ring, and there would be, they would have some papers and a clipboard and a pen, and we'd all be wearing our number, and we take our turns going through each ring, doing what's assigned, and then they would be taking notes and stuff like that. So no one was really giving us feedback other than if we messed something up, we had an opportunity to correct it and try it one more time. Otherwise, there's no feedback given. It's a tryout. You do it or you don't.
I could imagine that's intimidating. Them just there with a clipboard writing on it.
Yeah, but it's mind over matter. So you can't really let your nerves get to you. I mean, you are at the WWE Performance Center. You can't let anything get in the way of what you're trying to accomplish. There's so many other people who want it just as bad as you or more. And if you let your nerves get to you, or you let a piece of paper and a clipboard intimidate you, then maybe that's not the place for you. Because if you plan on getting the job, you're going to be performing in front of thousands of people, right?
Absolutely. Alright. You was also an undead bridesmaid.
Yes, I was.
Can you tell us about that experience?
That was very interesting. I believe that was in 2019 at Slammiversary with
Okay.
Impact Wrestling. And I got asked to be an undead bridesmaid amongst other people, including Bianca Corelli,
Oh, wow.
who's now in the WWE. So she was with me there. And we were to carry out Sue Young, who is in a casket for her championship match, and she was the women's champion at that time. And I just remember a bunch of us backstage getting on these oversized wedding gowns that didn't fit and were falling off of us and dragging on the ground behind us and in front of us. It was such a disaster. It looked really cool while it was on, but if you take a very, very good look at that video, when you see us bringing it in, you're going to see one point where I actually trip over that gown and I actually almost drop Sue Young in the casket.
Oh my god.
So the next time you replay that video, those gowns were so long that I almost ruined it on pay-per-view. I almost tripped and just dropped the coffin.
And she was like, before, afterwards, like, hey, I felt like a little bump.
No, like I was able to regain my stance, and I was able to kind of play it off as just being an undead bride, and just kind of, you know how they walk, like zombies walk.
Yeah.
So I tried to play it off that way. Nobody really noticed anything, but if obviously you're your own critique, so if you do watch the video, you'll notice that I do it, but otherwise no one really noticed anything because it wasn't dropped and they went on with the match.
And what was, just the experience of being behind the scenes of Impact Wrestling?
Oh, it was amazing. It was really, really amazing.
Was there anybody backstage that you were talking to, getting advice, going through what you were going through with the whole unbride, um, the choreography for the undead brides and all that stuff?
Not so much that, but I think I had a bit of a wow moment, and it's when I got to see Tessa Blanchard get ready for her match and get dressed and get changed and put on her boots. And I see her as such an amazing athlete. I think she's one of the best female wrestlers in the world. So to be able to be backstage with her was just such a wow moment for me.
That was, I believe, the match with Sammy Callahan.
Yes, one of the best intergender matches ever.
All right. Now, you played volleyball professionally, correct?
No, I played semi-professionally. I played in college, and I played at beach nationals for beach volleyball when I was younger in my teens. But I did have an opportunity to go. I had an invite to play professionally indoor for Slovenia in 2017. However, I was also working full time with my police department, and I had to put in a request for a leave of absence for the year, which they denied me. So, as much as I had a dream to become a professional volleyball player, that was not able to happen because I did have a full time career at the time, and they did not allow me to go do that.
Has like volleyball come up after that to pursue something in that field after pro wrestling or during your pro wrestling career?
Volleyball's always been my first love, and there's nothing that's going to be done volleyball wise that I'll be able to pursue. I'm in my mid 30s now, and I'm too old now to go play professionally overseas, and I haven't actually played in quite a bit, where I'm not as skilled as I used to be. I just played last weekend in a tournament, so I do it competitively still for fun with current and ex college volleyball players who still want to play. So I'm still actively playing, but because of pro wrestling and making pro wrestling a priority, I have let that dream go.
Okay. Well, does volleyball help you in any way in your wrestling career?
100%. I believe since the beginning that my athletics and my vertical, how I jump, how I drop kick, I think everything has to do with jumping, and volleyball has a lot to do with jumping. So in my explosiveness, I do thank volleyball for that. My years of playing volleyball since I was a kid, I believe that it's greatly assisted me in becoming the wrestler I am today.
All right. Now, one thing about you is that you come out to Hell Yeah from Red Theory. You
Yes.
actually got permission from the band to use that song.
Yes.
How did that come about?
That was back in 2019 when I was trying to think of an entrance song to come out to. My very first entrance song to come out to, just because I didn't really have a permanent one at the time, was "Rollin'" by Limp Bizkit.
Oh, sweet.
I came out to it twice with Smash Wrestling because that's who I debuted with. And then, so after that, I was still trying to kind of build my character. I did feel as though, hell yeah, I would have been a great fit for my look, considering it is the theme song for Blue Mountain State, which is all football. It's a football TV show series. So I love that song. So I ended up making it was a long time ago, so it's hard to remember. I did a couple things online. I did like a copyright application. I reached out to Sony Music Canada, and then I ended up getting contact information for Dave Agoglia from Rev Theory. And I ended up emailing him back and forth and kind of just telling him who I was and what I'd like to do. And he gave me email confirmation. He gave me his blessing to use the music.
That's incredible to have, such a big band like Rev Theory who does the music for Randy Orton also do the music for Nova.
Absolutely.
And I believe Hell Yeah was also the official theme song for WWE One Night Stand 2008 as well.
Yes, a long time ago.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right. You received an award for the Under 40 award. What does that kind of mean to you?
Yeah, so I forget what year it was in. I believe it was 2019 or 2020.
I believe so.
Sorry?
Yes. It was 2020.
2020, I was awarded top 40 under 40. So that is the top 40 young professionals under the age of 40 in Northern Ontario. And that was amazing because I went up against a lot of young professionals who are extremely gifted in their crafts and their professions. A lot of them were the same. So Sudbury's a mining town. So you had a lot of people who were awarded, who were mining engineers and geologists. There were a couple young professionals who were physiotherapists and chiropractors and who work at the hospital. But there was only one pro wrestler, and that was me, and I got it, which was amazing.
That is awesome.
Thank you.
Now you also mentioned you're a police officer. I imagine that you get some weird, interesting, bizarre call-ins. What has been the most interesting, weird, odd, bizarre thing that you've come across as a police officer?
Oh, I've seen it all. I actually don't dive too much into it when I'm working as a pro wrestler or speaking in podcasts. But I can say that I definitely see a lot of the things that humans are not meant to see, but I need to be that light and that bout of strength for people and victims in the community, because I just really do want to protect them.
Okay. Well, obviously, mentally you're very strong. Um, how does that help you, in pro wrestling and having, this demeanor?
I feel like in pro wrestling, it has a lot to do with public speaking and being in front of the public and just being comfortable performing in front of the public. So I have two very, very public careers, and this career in policing has most definitely assisted me in front of the crowds in pro wrestling, because I'm already now used to being in front of large groups of people where all eyes are on me, and they're dissecting every single thing that I do, right? So it's definitely helped me with my stage fright as far as pro wrestling goes. Absolutely.
Okay. Can you tell us about Nova's Guide to Isolation?
Oh, is that the video that I posted?
Yes.
That was Nova's comedic side. And while everybody was stuck inside the house and not able to be outdoors or be in public spaces during isolation, I felt like I needed to show a different side of me that was funny, but then also just put a smile on people's faces during that unfortunate time.
Can you tell us about the Stone Cold invitation?
Oh, yeah, that didn't go as planned. So when I only had one take at it because if I'm chugging beer, I'm getting wet. So I want to be dry for my take, right? I want it to look like I'm only doing it one time. Anyways, I think I poured both beer way too close to my face, where I basically just drowned myself in beer and it went up my nose. I think I played it off very well, but I definitely didn't do it properly. I should have practiced like a day or so before.
Will we see, a rehash of that going down the line?
Yeah, I think so. I'll do it at some point, and I'll definitely plan on holding the beer a little further away from my face next time.
Well, there is a wrestling promotion on the western side of Canada, clandestine, and they usually do wrestler imitation matches where you
Oh,
get.
cool.
So like there was these two girls, and one was The Rock and one was Steve Austin. So would who would Nova be in a imitation match like that?
I think Nova would be the ultimate warrior.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah. Yes, because Nova is full of energy, and Nova already does an amazing warrior splash. So all I need is a couple tassels and to shake the ropes a little bit, and then you've got me an ultimate warrior.
And you have to run around the ring like he used to do as well.
Absolutely.
Alright. Um Now you've done obstacle course racing. I believe Tough Mudder. Um
Yes.
can you tell us about that?
Well, there's different types of obstacle course races out there. Tough Mudder is more so for team building. There used to be one time back in the day where Tough Mudder was time recorded, and I know that I was part of that group way back in the day who was part of the time recorded group, so I did qualify to make World's Toughest Mudder. But that was a competition I really didn't want to do. It was like as many times around of the course as you can in 24 hours. And that's just not something I wanted to do. So I stuck with just regular Tough Mudder and bringing my coworkers to them and my friends and just doing it as a team activity where you're there for each other and you try and help each other up. And then also ran about 6 years with Spartan Race. So that one as well was a time recorded. That was an actual competition for cash. So yeah, I ran 6 years of Spartan Race, and that was an amazing time.
We've been talking. You've done volleyball. You've done. You're a police officer, which obviously requires communication. Tough Mudder, which is also a team a thing. But pro wrestling, it's only you and your opponent. Um, do you kind of? I haven't seen that you've done a. You're more of a singles wrestler yourself. So do you kind of prefer the team aspect, or do you prefer just being solo?
I wouldn't be opposed to it if asked. There's only been a handful of times I've done tag team matches or triple threats. Like very, very rarely have I done them, but I have done them, and I'd still be open to doing it in the future.
But I mean, like again, all of those are team sports. But what is it like? What's the mentality when it's only you?
I find it more challenging and more intriguing and more mentally stimulating, because instead of having a group of brains forming ideas, you've got two. You've got myself and my opponent. But then that way we can get some privacy, we can sit in a corner, and we can work towards making an amazing, entertaining match together.
Now back to the Spartan races. What was your least favorite obstacle to do?
That's a really good question. I think the least favorite part of the obstacle for me was either the really, really long treks up ski hills, like double black diamond ski hills.
Okay.
So I guess on the competitive side to it, like Spartan race wise, I didn't like the ski hills, as it was very daunting in the really hot summer weather. And then if you're talking about a non-competitive obstacle course race like Tough Mudder, I really didn't like the very end. It's not so much an obstacle. Well, it is an obstacle to get through, but it's like hanging live wire with live bolts that you have to run through and swim through, and you're actually getting shocked as you go. And I really dislike that.
Is that even legal?
Oh, I guess so. But you definitely have to sign a waiver before you run it, because people with like pacemakers and stuff like that would not be qualified to run it.
I can imagine.
And even if you were a healthy individual, you still have to sign a waiver either way, saying if anything were to happen to you, like anytime during the race, injury or death, that you cannot go back and sue them, because you're signing willfully that you willfully want to race.
That's crazy.
Yep.
What has been, what is your favorite obstacle?
My favorite obstacle would probably be the swimming obstacles, because
When you're not getting electrocuted.
when you're not getting electrocuted, you are sweaty and you're sore, and chances are when you're jumping in the water is probably going to be ice cold, and it just feels so amazing on your joints. And as much as it sucks, it feels good at the same time. And yeah, I guess that would be my favorite one.
Alright. I think it's time once again for that segment. Nova's Bizarre Adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the roads, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
That something weird has happened?
Yes.
Sure. As a female wrestler, us women, I guess, aren't so susceptible to holding in our urine very well. I don't know if you've known this or not. Obviously, doctors encourage women to do Kegel exercises. So one time I decided to wrestle on a full bladder.
Oh.
So because I didn't have time right before the match to go to the washroom. So I think I ended up getting slammed or coming off the top turnbuckle, and I may have peed a little once I landed, just because of the massive impact on my bladder. So, oops. Oh well.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. Hey, you asked.
Not a lot of people would say that.
No, but if you speak to any female wrestler, I can guarantee you it's happened at least once in their career.
We've definitely heard stories.
Yeah.
So yes. Who was you in the ring with?
Violet Lee.
Okay. Alright. You're obviously, a pro wrestler. You're the elite athlete. You've done volleyball. You're obviously doing great things, athletically.
Thank you.
Is there any sport that you're not good at?
Yes, I would say ice hockey. And I'm only saying ice hockey because I was actually never trained on how to skate and stop properly. So growing up, my dad actually spent his career running a hockey arena.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I also played indoor floor hockey in school growing up, and I'm a good hockey player, but I've been put on skates, and I used to skate around growing up, but I was never taught how to stop. So I guess ice hockey would not be a good sport for me because I can go real, real fast, but I just don't know how to stop.
Are you sure you're Canadian?
I'm very Canadian because I kick ass at basketball, so I'm very Canadian.
Alright. Can you tell us about crushing pizza like a Ninja Turtle?
I have a love for pizza. If I was born in a different lifetime, I'd definitely be a Ninja Turtle. That's for sure.
Well, we usually save this question for later on. Pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
I am totally good with that.
You're pro pineapple.
I am very pro. Yeah, I actually love. There's one pizza that's actually amazing in Canada. It's by a restaurant called Boston Pizza.
Okay.
And they have something called the tropical chicken pizza. So it's there's chicken on the pizza with pineapple, and the sauce base is actually an Alfredo sauce, so it's not a tomato sauce. So it's just creamy, and there's chicken, and there's pineapple with cheese, and it's just amazing.
Wow. I know ham on pizza with the pineapple, but I've never put chicken.
Yeah, definitely, it's a must try.
Okay. Now, Pop Tarts are underrated.
Yes, they are. I have been eating them a lot lately.
What kind are you eating?
I love s'mores. I love s'mores everything. So as soon as I saw that there's s'mores Pop Tarts, I bought 2 boxes.
Okay, is it the one with the? Are you pro the icing or anti the icing?
I love the icing. Give me all the sugar.
Okay, so we're just on s'mores.
I'm sorry?
You're just on the s'mores Pop Tarts.
Yeah, for right now. I'm gonna go through each flavor. And I have had flavors in the past, but I haven't had Pop Tarts since my teenage years. But all of a sudden now, spontaneously, I have been eating Pop Tarts every day.
What brought that on?
I have no idea. I think it's just a rebirth of some old favorites.
Well, can recommend cinnamon bun Pop Tart when you can find them. Those are absolutely delicious.
I will definitely try it.
Alright. Can you tell us about beating the arm wrestling champion?
Oh, Brandon Lamont, yes. I got asked to be a special guest performer with Iron Arms in Ontario, and they had a big arm wrestling competition, and I ended up going up against the big men's champion, and I crushed him.
I seen that. It seemed like he wasn't necessarily expecting it.
No, not a lot of people expect how athletic I am, but then I sure surprise them.
Have you? I believe you was given the title as well, right?
No, that was me. I brought my true my True Patriot Championship
Okay.
title from Northland Wrestling. I just brought it there with me, and that men's champion wanted to put my own belt on the line and see if he can win my belt by doing his arm wrestling craft, but it didn't work.
Ah, I see. When the title was on the line, you went full force.
Exactly. Yeah, I can't lose my wrestling belt to this arm wrestler.
I mean, that's an interesting uh, gimmick there. Arm wrestling for wrestling championship.
And that's an actual craft. I mean, this guy competes probably every month all around Canada for real arm wrestling.
Yeah, and you're still currently the True Patriots champion, correct?
I am not.
Okay.
I
At one point
not
you
that
were.
I never lost it either. Not that I've lost it in a match. But the pandemic happened
Okay.
where all of the titles ended up getting returned during the pandemic. And I know that Northland Wrestling ended up doing a big event where it was like Northland Wrestling Reloaded, where they were just placing all of the titles on the line. And I never ended up working that event, so I think someone else won that title, but I'm definitely coming back for it.
I mean, at one point you was Nova 2 belts.
I was Nova 2 belts.
Right.
That's definitely right.
So, you
I'm
know,
Nova 1 belt right now. I'm still the women's champion of Canada.
yeah, that was the title I saw you with. Okay. So what did it mean to you to be so early on in your career and being trusted to be the face of the women's division in two separate companies?
It's a huge honor and it's a very big compliment because in a very short amount of time, I put a ton of work into this. So it's very, very rewarding that I have all this work to show for it, and people are actually recognizing that. So I feel very, very thankful, and I'm very humbled by it. It's a very big responsibility because when a promotion puts a title around your waist, it's for a reason, and you know they like I said, such a big responsibility because you're now the face of that promotion, and you have to engage with the crowd and you have to take in everything and you have to be such a good role model for the young fans and just be the best athlete you could be.
Yeah, and then the True Patriot Championship, they strip you of the title and don't give you an opportunity to recapture it.
Absolutely. I'm a much better wrestler now than I was back before the pandemic, so let's have it.
Yeah, like, I mean, that seems like very small thinking of not giving the current champion an opportunity to recapture her title.
It is what it is. I'll just have to show them.
Justice for Nova.
Justice for Nova, exactly.
Right. Can you tell us about that time you dressed up as Wario?
That was for Halloween.
So
I ended up going to a Halloween event and I decided I wanted to be different than all the other girls that were going to be there. Cause I know, you got the typical policewoman, you got the sexy nurse, and you have the sexy devil or the angel. So I just wanted to be different and I wanted to be my goofy self. And I found this really cool Wario outfit and so decided to be it. It was a hit.
well, I mean, going as a policewoman, that would just be another night on the job, right?
Well, that's just like if I were to go to a Halloween party as a wrestler. It's like sorry, as Nova. You know what I mean? Like it's just why don't do that.
Right. Well, I'm assuming Mario fan.
Yeah, love Mario Kart.
Okay, which Mario Kart are you playing?
The OG. Well, I still have my N64.
Oh, sweet. It seems
Yeah,
like the Nintendo 64, even in 2023, is still a very popular system.
absolutely.
What was your thoughts on the Rainbow Bridge on that version of Mario Kart? Because it is absolutely the longest course in any of them.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
It's definitely my favorite.
Yeah.
And who are you playing as?
I'm typically, I would say I'm Mario most of the time. Because I think he's funny and he makes really funny comments.
Okay. Well, it is time for the colossal question. They're making a movie about Nova. It's a big production. A lot of big names are signed up to do it. Every movie has a soundtrack. What would be the first three songs on the Nova wrestling career soundtrack up to this point?
Well, it's going to have to be Rev Theory's Hell Yeah. And
Obviously.
definitely Rollin' by Limp Bizkit.
Sweet.
And I guess the third one, I'm going to say Stars, and I think it's called Stars in the Night, Stars Into the Night, and it's Paige's old WWE entrance song.
Oh, sweet.
Because it just pumps me up every time I hear it.
That's a solid three picks right there.
Thank you.
Do you lock it in?
Do I lock it in?
Yes.
I lock it in, yeah.
Alright. Now that we got the soundtrack done, the script is being written. Casting. Who plays Nova? And you can't say yourself because you're obligated to make a Stanley as cameo.
Tessa Blanchard.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be three people in your movie and who would play them?
I would want Lita, Trish Stratus, and maybe AJ Lee.
As as characters in your movie?
I'm sorry?
As characters in your movie?
Yeah.
Who would play them?
Oh, I thought you meant they can all just join in.
No, like three people that have meaning in your journey in pro
Okay,
wrestling.
okay. I would say for Lita, Addie Starr, because she's wild, and Trish Stratus. I'm just trying to think of someone blonde that could take that on. I'll get back to you on that one. And then AJ Lee, because she's small, jacked, and full of energy. I'll probably say Alexia Nicole.
Okay.
I guess with regards to Trish Stratus, Tiffany Stratton.
Alright. And you could pre-order the tickets now.
Yeah.
Alright, since you are a Canadian from Canada, these are two exclusive questions.
Okay.
Poutine. Where is the best poutine in Canada?
Oh, well, I'm French, so I call it poutine, but a lot of people do say poutine. um, I guess I wouldn't know where the best one would be just because I actually don't eat it.
What?
I don't eat poutine. It's not good for you. It's like a heart attack inside of a bowl.
Wow.
I mean, as much as I love pizza, I wouldn't do that to my arteries. That's just terrible. You got loads of gravy. You've got deep fried French fries, and then you've got cheese curds. So it's just fat, fat, more fat.
Wow, you don't skate or play hockey, and you don't eat poutine. I'm sorry we have to take away your Canadian license.
I guess so. Yeah, yeah.
And is Canada's greatest national treasure Ryan Reynolds?
That's a really good question. I guess he is currently.
currently?
Yeah, he's been making his rounds around Ontario right now, and actually surprising people as to where he's going. He's surprising people in hospitals. He surprised some college students who are in the film program. So I think it's really cool what he's doing. He's just he's going around secretly, and he's spreading his education and spreading his experience and helping others.
That's really awesome. I didn't know that he was doing that.
Yeah.
But you said currently. Who was prior to him?
The best Canadian prior?
Yes.
I guess Bret the Hitman Hart.
All right. All right. What's your spirit Pokemon?
Jigglypuff.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
We love the late great Tracy Smothers on the show. Do you know the acronym for Thug? THUG.
I do not.
T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail, 'cause a Doug can't spell.
That's funny.
Yes, trying to keep the memory of Tracy alive. Alright, and the weirdest question you'll be asked on a wrestling interview, hopefully. Would you ever consider wrestling a rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual rock.
Yes, I would. But it's actually already happened. If you try and Google search, it might be on YouTube, but his name is Psycho Mike Rollins.
Yes.
And during COVID, he had a wrestling match against a Rock, and the Rock won.
Yes, he did.
Yes. That's definitely a match I cannot forget.
Did you watch the rematch where he where it was a Tungsten Man match, an Iron Man match that lasted for 2 weeks?
I did not see the rematch.
You know, we've been asking that questions for around a good 2 years now, and you're the only person to have said that Psycho Mike was the one that actually did it.
Yeah. Yeah, that guy's quite the character.
Yes, love Psycho Mike. Alright, on a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Where do I see myself in 5 years? That's a very good question. So in 5 years from now, I will be 40 years old. Unfortunately, I will be hopefully just as in good or better shape. I will be more knowledgeable and more experienced. I still hope to wrestle part-time and put on an amazing show for the fans and be a good role model for the kids. And I hope that I expand my career either in policing or transition into law and become a lawyer and protect victims.
Oh wow! So a real life Detective Cookie Dough.
Exactly. Exactly.
Alright. And what is a match people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what Nova is all about?
That's a very good question. I haven't uploaded some recent matches to YouTube, but I should do that pretty shortly. But I would say if I have anything online from, one moment. Yeah, I would just say go online and check out my YouTube, and I've got some matches on there. I don't have any favorite one in particular, but if there's anything from Barry Wrestling on there, I'd say those are the most recent ones. And that would be basically me branching and evolving, and that would be me at my current best.
Alright, so just watch all of the matches.
Watch all of the matches. Give me all the views.
Just do a binge.
Yeah.
And the link to your YouTube will be in the description of the video below, both on YouTube and Castbox, for anybody that wants to watch all things Nova.
Yeah, or you can even go into the search bar in YouTube and type in Nova Pro Wrestler, or you can just go to youtube.com/Nova Pro Wrestler.
I mean, we're putting it in the description. They have no excuse of not being able to find it.
100%.
Alright, and since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom.
Dun, dun, dun.
This is our speed round, our bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Jeff Hardy.
Worst wrestler.
That's really hard. I'll say Shane McMahon.
Ooh, interesting. Okay. You're main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
Lita.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
Paige.
Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is
Alive.
we would have also accepted taste great on toast.
I'm sorry?
We would have also have accepted taste great on toast.
Okay.
It's just a joke. Squash, vegetable or fruit?
Vegetable.
It's a fruit.
Oh my god.
Tomato logic.
Very interesting.
Yes. But you're now a part of Squash Squad, and that means more. New Japan wrestler Tai Chi, his ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
Depends on your audience. Is what I'll say. Yes.
Depending on the audience.
Yeah. So I guess I do a lot of family-based events. So I specifically requested with my ring gear maker not to show too much booty.
Okay.
Just some, but not a lot. And I've actually been approached during intermission by some of the parents saying they actually really do appreciate that everything is done very tastefully.
Oh, interesting. Alright,
Yeah.
and the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
I have not.
And that is the correct answer. That will conclude this interview. Thank you so much, Nova, for coming on and doing this with me.
Thank you for having me.
And once again, where can we find all things Nova?
All Things Nova will be on all of the apps. So Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Just type in Nova Pro Wrestler into the search bar and you will find me.
And merchandise?
Merchandise, you can go on my website, www.novawrestler.com, or you can go onto Pro Wrestling Tees and type in the search bar Nova Pro Wrestler, and you will find my merch store.
And you don't even have to type it into your Google machine. all of the links will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox. Simply click the link, unmute, tab will appear on whatever device you're on. You have no excuse. Buy a damn shirt.
Thank you very much for your time.
Absolutely. Of course, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, or on YouTube and Castbox. Of course, this was sponsored by World Energy and Play One Coffee. Join us next Tuesday and Wednesday for new interviews and support our sponsoree Billy Starks in home match at CCW Battle of the Drone on the 11th. Of course, follow the show at Wrestling with E, but on Twitter and Instagram for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more. Follow me personally at JamesJ993. Alright, when I say wrestling with, you say entertainment, okay?
Sounds good.
For always special guest Nova, Kaliko Yachts, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with
Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.